Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's get into chapter 2, okay? Of Faith Under Fire. It's a memoir about LaJoyce Brookshire, okay? And this chapter is a little longer, so I'm going to break it up. So this is chapter 2, part 1, all right? So now LaJoyce is about to tell us how she was betrayed by love. Now we're about to get into that story. She starts out by telling us that on a Sunday evening in June 1990, when they were at Stephen's mom's house, they were just sitting around having family time. She was drinking a nice beverage, and when she gets to the bottom of the glass, she almost swallowed a diamond ring. She was so surprised. Everybody in the family knew. So when she screamed like, "Oh my goodness," the entire family came running in, congratulating them, hugging them. Everybody was so excited to the point that they pulled out a calendar and started looking for a date. His mom was very insistent on December 1st. So that's what they went with. But that was only 6 months away. Since LaJoyce was from Chicago, she wanted to get married in her hometown. She said a girl should always get married in her hometown. While planning their wedding, they started, looking into their finances. And LaJoyce discovered that Stephen was $30,000 in debt. She couldn't believe that he was that deep in debt. Stephen said that it was because he put new windows on his mother's house. He bought a line of suits. He bought a nice outfit. And she knew that one of his outfits cost over $400. Cost over $500. Then there were all of the dinners and the roses, and LaJoyce told him, "Listen, maybe we should just hold off on the wedding until you can pay off some of this debt." And she also told him that there will be no more dinners, no more roses, and no more $500 outfits. They were on a strict budget. Well, Stephen's mom, Moselle, she overheard the conversation, and she told LaJoyce that she will help Stephen pay off his debt because it's hard to find true love. And if people waited to clear up debt, most people wouldn't be married. So she asked LaJoyce, would her parents help her clear up her debt? And LaJoyce was like, "What debt? I got $650 worth of rent and utilities. My grandma taught me to use cash, and I'm very frugal. I've never spent over $500 on any outfit." Stephen's mom said it was okay to buy nice things, and LaJoyce asked her, "At whose expense?" "We're about to get married, so his spending habits will have to change." So for the next couple of months, they spent that time, writing out their budget, being particular about what they spend their money on. And LaJoyce said that the conflicts between the South Side of Chicago versus the Long Island was in full effect because their differences in financial views on that day was made very clear. They were not on the same page. So some time had passed and LaJoyce finally decided to give Stephen a key to her house. He was shocked because he thought he was never gonna get that key. But since he was there all the time anyway and they were engaged, she decided to go ahead and give him a key. In July, her and Stephen made a trip to Chicago so that he could meet her parents. They arrived at Chicago at 4 a.m. and Stephen wanted to check into a hotel because he was tired and he knew that at LaJoyce's parents' house, they wouldn't be able to sleep in the same room because her parents were very religious. But LaJoyce had to let him know that her dad knew what time they left New York, and she knew for sure he was timing them. And besides, you don't just pull up in Chicago trying to check into the wrong type of hotel. Then Stephen got to whining, talking about he just wanted to snuggle with her and be close to her because he knew he wouldn't be able to do it at her parents' house. And she said, "You got that right. We can do all of that when we get back home. We are here for you to meet my parents and for us to find a wedding venue." But Stephen kept talking about he was tired, he wanted to go to sleep, and he at least wanted to shower before he met her parents. But LaJoyce ignored all that and kept on driving to her folks' house. As soon as they pulled up, her dad said, "Right on time." And LaJoyce looked back at Stephen like, "I told you so." So they finally got some rest, and around 9 a.m. her best friend Teresa stopped by so they can go out and catch up. But she wanted to meet Stephen first. And when she walked in the room, he was asleep when she turned the light on. LaJoyce could hear them talking, but she couldn't make out what they were saying. But years later, Teresa told her that Stephen actually cussed her out for turning that light on and waking him up. But she never told LaJoyce because she knew LaJoyce would have sent him straight back to New York because they wouldn't have gotten married. So LaJoyce and her best friend, they went out, they came back about 2 hours later. Stephen was upstairs trying to figure out what to wear to meet her mom. And LaJoyce told him, just throw on some sweats. She ain't gonna judge your outfit. She ain't like that. Stephen said he was not wearing sweats to meet her mother. So LaJoyce headed on downstairs for breakfast. When Stephen finally made it to the kitchen, he was wearing a 3-piece matching outfit with a gold necklace, watch, and ring. Her mom, on the other hand, was still in her robe, and no one said anything about what he had on. Later on that day, LaJoyce, her mother, and Stephen went to look at wedding venues. They took care of that, got back to her parents' house where they, just hung out. And Stephen got to meet, more of the friends and family. One of LaJoyce's closest friends told her that when he hugged her, he felt another presence around her. And LaJoyce trusted her friend's spiritual discernment and wisdom because, they had been close for years. And while in Chicago, Stephen wanted LaJoyce to drive him around and show him some of the neighborhoods her old boyfriends used to stay in because that's what he did when he met LaJoyce. LaJoyce said Stephen loved talking about all the girls he clapped back in the day. He seemed to be very proud of that. LaJoyce had to let him know, I only had 2 boyfriends in Chicago. She said, now they can go by Gus's house. But she really didn't know why he wanted to see an old boyfriend's home. So they drove by Gus's house and parked, and she was like, well, there it is. Still not understanding why he wanted to see it. But she had told Stephen all about Gus. Her and Gus were boyfriend and girlfriend from 12 to 17. He was her one true love, even though they had several breakups along the way. He went off to the Air Force and she went to New York. Then one night in 89, Gus called and told her that he was getting married, and she was devastated. All of a sudden, there was a knock on the car window, and it was Gus. He pulled her out of the car, and both of them were beaming with excitement, just hugging each other, saying, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my gosh, you look good. And then Gus's mama come and get Stephen out the car. She gave him a hug and told him that they had heard so much about him, and don't worry about them. They almost like brother and sister. Come on in the house, baby. Let me talk to you. So they visited with Gus and his mom for about an hour. And when they got to the car, Stephen said, I don't know why you didn't marry Gus. And she told him because he got married. But Stephen was like, you got to ask yourself why though. And that frustrated LaJoyce because she felt like Stephen was trying to take a jab at her self-esteem. So she told him, you go in the house then. Go in the house and ask him why we didn't get married. And then he started stuttering, and she was like, yeah, that's what I thought. And plus, if I had married him, I never would have met you. Aren't you glad we met? And he was like, yeah, he apologized, and they headed back to her parents' house. Now, after their time in Chicago was over, they were back in New York. She had an appointment with a world-renowned designer, Mr. Franklin Rowe, and he was going to make her gown, Stephen's suit, and the bridesmaids' dresses along with the mother's attire. Her mom flew in so that she could meet Stephen's mom, and they hit it off. They acted like they knew each other for years. So the moms left because they wanted to go pick out their own color of dress that they wanted to wear. And they were gone so long, LaJoyce got worried, but they came back like 8 hours later, still laughing and talking. So LaJoyce felt like that was a good sign because the way her mom is, if they didn't get along, she would have called her and told her, come and get me. I'm tired of this woman. Stephen decided to wear an ivory brocade blazer with velvet pants, and he wanted a second blazer, half brocade, half velvet, to change it to for the reception. LaJoyce told him, you going over the wedding budget and your personal budget that we set. But of course, he started whining, talking about, it's for our wedding. You do want me to look sharp, don't you? She said yes, but in her head, she was like, but Franklin, he don't take cars, baby. Out in the living room, Franklin Rowe was just sitting back observing all the girls, and he was sketching a dress for each one of them based off of their personalities. Everyone liked their designs. So did the moms. And LaJoyce, she was excited. Designs had been approved, hotel selected, and she was getting married. So time had rolled around for LaJoyce to renew her lease. But Steven's mom suggested that they move in with her. That way they could save money for their new apartment since they were planning a wedding. At first, LaJoyce refused, but then she gave in. So they spent one weekend cleaning out the spare room. Mama Mo, which is what they call Steven's mom, she only had one rule, and that was that Steven was not allowed to sleep in the room with LaJoyce. LaJoyce, she didn't see a problem with her request, but Steven did. He turned it into a whole argument, and LaJoyce was confused by his behavior because she completely understood the mom's stance on that, because you wouldn't feel uncomfortable doing the things that we do in your mom's house. But by now, she has started to notice that he did a whole bunch of whining, but she just chopped it up to him being a mama's boy. Well, a few weeks later, they went to an industry party, and the theme was casino night. And one of the grand prizes was a trip to the Bahamas. Steven was trying his best to win that trip, and he did. They took the trip to the Bahamas over Labor Day. It was nice, free, beautiful scenery, but Steven wasn't happy because they were given the basic Howard Johnson type of room. He wanted to check out of that and go to a resort. And LaJoyce was like, Steven, the trip was free. Can't we just enjoy the island? Steven got smart and said, we do have to pay for food. LaJoyce convinced him to stay in their free room because she was trying to stick to the budget. They had a nice time despite all of Steven's whining, but she wasn't feeling too well with all the traveling, wedding plans, stress, and Steven's whining. But come to find out, it was more than that. When they made it back home, she found out that she was pregnant, 28 years old, about to get married and have a baby. She was happy and didn't mind that she would be around 5 months pregnant when it was time to walk down the aisle. So her friend Henzie, who told her that he felt a presence around her, he was right. She was pregnant. So she told Steven the news, but he was less than thrilled. He wanted to stay quiet about it. He said it wasn't a good idea to tell people you were expecting before 3 months. And she said that she had heard that before, so she agreed. However, a week later, he told her that he wasn't ready to start a family and he wanted her to get rid of the baby. He started talking about his first marriage, and his first wife had a child, and the money, and it was difficult, and the child never liked him, and blah, blah, blah. And that he's not, he don't want to start off their marriage with a child. LaJoyce didn't think he made a lick of sense. So she decided to go for a walk, and she told him to think about it. It was just like his mom said, don't let money stop a wedding. So don't let the fear of having enough money stop a baby. Well, the next morning, Steven woke up, and he woke her up. It was like 6 a.m, and he told her to get dressed. She didn't know where they were going, but since he was dressed in a suit, like dressed down, baby, she thought they were going to go jump the broom or something. So she put on a dress, stockings, heels, cute little jewelry, and they drove for a minute and ended up deep into Long Island at this bland looking building. When she got inside, LaJoyce realized it was a doctor's office. He gave the receptionist her name. They handed him some papers. He handed the papers to LaJoyce and said, I thought about it, and I don't want to start off with a baby. She couldn't believe it. He had actually made an appointment for her to get rid of their baby. So she told him, since it takes two to raise a baby and you don't want our baby, neither do I. She filled out the paperwork and they took her to the back. And she couldn't believe any of that was happening because she remembered when she used to talk about women who did what she called such a thing. But lesson learned, she said, never say never. When they brought her back to the waiting room, Stephen wasn't there. After about 45 minutes, that's when he comes back. He asked her if she was okay, and she said, no. Are you okay? The baby is gone. Are you happy? Stephen avoided the question. He asked her if she was hungry because he was, and she wanted to know, you've been gone for about an hour. You didn't eat. Like, where were you? He said that he was in the mall, and then he went to the movies. She was like, what? You brought me here to get rid of our baby and you decided to take your ex to the movies? That man asked her, what else was I supposed to do? She said, wait here. Anything could have gone wrong and you got your ex at the movies. Then he said, dang, where's your faith? I was like, girl, listen, if you don't get away from Stephen, you need to leave Stephen with his mama. She told him, don't bring God into this conversation. Take me home. When she woke up, she noticed that they were in a parking lot. She looked up, baby, they was at the steakhouse. She couldn't believe it. Not only did he take her to get rid of their baby, he had the nerve to pull up at a steakhouse and he knew she didn't eat red meat. She was pissed. But when he opened the door for her and she looked at him, she realized just how much in love with Stephen she was. And that just made her even madder. And I'm like, you making me mad. So they made it back home. LaJoyce was finally able to get comfortable and relax. She finally decided to ask Stephen what he bought since he was at the mall for about 5 hours. And he said that he was getting things for their honeymoon. And then Mama Mo made the announcement that she was sending them to Hawaii on a 15-day all-inclusive 5-star honeymoon as a wedding gift. Stephen jumped up and gave his mom a hug and was like thanking her. Thank you, Mom. I love you so much. This is so great. You're so wonderful. And LaJoyce was happy, but she didn't want his mom spending all of that money on a honeymoon. But Mama Mo said she absolutely had to spend that money on a honeymoon because Stephen deserves some happiness. Plus, he always wanted to go to Hawaii. Then LaJoyce got to thinking, since she is the one who manages their finances, she knew Stephen didn't have any extra money to pay for her to get rid of the baby. So Mama Mo had to have been the one who paid for it. And in that moment, all she could do was pray. Because she really wanted to jump up off that couch and let them both know how she felt about them. Since Mama Mo was talking about Stephen's happiness and LaJoyce was over there with an empty womb, but she kept praying silently, and she finally said amen. But when she said it out loud, and Mama Mo said, that's right, amen. And LaJoyce said she guessed Mama Mo thought that she was co-signing what she said about Stephen, but that was the farthest thing away from her mind, baby. She was praying to keep from getting them to put some hands on them. That night, LaJoyce prayed for forgiveness about what she did earlier that day. The next day, she got a call from her mom, and her mom told her that Mama Mo called and asked if her parents, LaJoyce's parents, could pay $5,000 for LaJoyce and Stephen to stay in Hawaii an additional 5 days. And LaJoyce's mama, they call her Joe. She was like, heck no, they better enjoy the 15 they got because I have a wedding to pay for. Mama Mo told Mama Joe that she was cashing in $15,000 of her late husband's pension so that LaJoyce and Stephen could enjoy themselves because they wouldn't have that opportunity again. Joe told her, like I said, they better enjoy the 15 days that they're there. And that's going to be the first part of chapter 2, y'all. I didn't want it to be too long. So y'all get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.